Hello again and welcome to Over the Hill Outdoors. Today I'm on a little snowshoeing hike in to check out the shelter that I made about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. Anyway, I'm going to go in today and see if it's still standing. It's been quite a while. It's been through, this will be its second winter now. See how it's holding up and invite you to come along with me. It's a windy day. Beautiful sunny day, but it's a lot of wind, so I may have trouble with the audio a little bit here, but I'll do my best. So thank you for coming along. Hope you enjoy it. It seems like the last time I was here it was blowing hard. This place can be a very windy place. Today it's not quite as bad, but it can blow like a hurricane up here. Hopefully it'll hold off until I get into the trees where the shelter is. This is about where I turn into the timber, get out of the wind, and see if my shelter is still there. Well, hallelujah, there it is. It's still standing. I'm a little bit surprised. I knew that it wouldn't collapse under the snow. It's plenty strong. My concern was someone would find it during the summertime and take it apart. But, good news, it's still there. Let's go take a look at it. It's going to take a little bit of digging to get into it, but that'll be fun. That's good. So last summer I set up a trail cam in here for a couple of weeks just to see if there was any wildlife activity around this, or perhaps if any people might come by and find the shelter. And in that 2-week period I had a moose and a few deer and other animals come in, give it a look, and then to walk on by. But I also had 3 different groups of people show up on the trail cam during that time. I was a little worried they might either destroy the shelter or maybe even see the trail cam and take it down, but they didn't. I have to hand it to them and thank them for leaving it as they found it. Well, I'm amazed. It's not full of snow. I thought perhaps since it's been through a couple of summers and a winter and a half that a lot of the moss chinking will have fallen out, or the squirrels would have taken it out, and so snow could easily have drifted in through all those cracks if it didn't seal over quick enough. But luckily, apparently what happened is enough of the chinking stayed in place, and we got some good first snows without a lot of wind that formed a good snow shell or crust over the shelter before it really got windy. So anyway, I'll take the camera now and show you the look inside. Again, I'm very surprised that there's not more snow inside than there is. That snow right there, at least some of it, fell in while I was shoveling the snow off the door. But look inside there. It's just about how I left it. The bed full of pine cone shells is still there. A little bit of snow over in that one corner. A little bit there and there, but boy, I am surprised. Alright, I'm going to go in and set up shop. I'm going to build me a little fire, make some lunch, and just relax a bit. By the way, if you're wondering what that rifle's for, that's my 22. It was for, in case I happen to run across a snowshoe hare. I realize the chances are almost zero of finding one in the middle of the day like this on a windy day. But I know if I left my rifle home, I'd certainly see one. So I brought it. Pretty much just insurance against seeing a snowshoe is what it is. Alright, I'm going to have just boil up some water and have some some oatmeal and some hot chocolate. I like a metal canteen, well, for a couple of reasons, but one is in a bind I can use it as a pot for boiling water, purifying water, whatever I need to do. So that's what I'll do today. Boil up some water and make some oatmeal. Well, it sounds like it's boiling, so I'll take it off the fire and let the fire burn down. Make myself my lunch. That's my dog water dish for when I'm out hunting with the dogs, but it works good enough for me too. Like I said, the moss chinking falls out every now and then. It had worse. Another good use of a metal water bottle like that is if this were nighttime, if I was getting ready to go to bed and cold night, I'd put the cap on that, stick it inside of a sock or something to insulate it just a little bit, put it in my sleeping bag with me, and I would just be toasty warm most of the night. Alright, lunch on the trail. Quick and easy, warm, and filling. So good. Alright, I will now finish off lunch with nice warm hot chocolate. Got a bonus this time, there's even some marshmallows in it. Just right. Even on a short day hike like this, I always have with me some basics for survival, emergency preparedness. Typically I have this backpack, it's the day pack. It weighs a little bit more than I think most people would want to take on a regular day hike, but it's actually saved a life or two by having what I have in there. My dad and I one time were hunting elk and we got in a bad spot. It was pretty much life or death. Dad, he was about 75 years old at the time. We were up at about 11,000 feet, and the freak snowstorm came in. We got caught, we got soaking wet from the rain, which then turned to snow, and all the vegetation was wet. Even the driest wood I could find was still soaking wet. Built a fire, tried to build a fire, couldn't do it. Even with a butane lighter, still wouldn't. Nothing would catch, and it was looking pretty grim. I was convinced that my dad would not make it till the morning. I figured I probably would, but I didn't think he'd make it. Anyway, I carry in my backpack as a last resort. Of course, I had a little 10 by 10 foot emergency survival tarp, and but I put it on around him, and he would say he's too hot, and he'd let it fall off, and he was pretty much incoherent. But I have wrapped up in that a regular road flare. This is what saved his life that night. I built the biggest pile I could of the driest wood I could find, which was still wringing wet, and got out my fuse and lit it, stuck it underneath that pile of wet fuel, and it burned and it burned and it burned. It was almost back to there before finally it had generated enough heat that it started the pile on fire. We got a good roaring campfire going, made it through the night. Search and rescue got there in time, but that right there, it weighs a little bit, but boy, that is a lifesaver. Just show you some of the Some of my grandkids probably have never seen one of these work, and I know some of my scouts had never seen it before, so I'll just show you. It's got an abrasive end on this side. It's got a striker tip, kind of like the tip of a regular match. And you just strike it like that. It ignites, and you just lay it either that way or that way. Probably to slope it about like that, so it doesn't put itself out. And it burns for about 10-12 minutes. Let's give it a try, see if it'll work. That's all there is to it. Besides the fact that it's a good fire starter, obviously it's also a good signal device. I'm going to set this by the fire and not burn down my shelter. Check the time, and I'll show you again in a few minutes, tell you about how long it took for it to burn down. You can hear it's roaring. It really puts out a lot of heat. Alright, we're about 6 minutes into it, and we're not even quite halfway there. So maybe this is more like a 15-minute flare. Anyway, I'll turn it back on in a few minutes and show you the progress. Still hot as all get out. Alright, now the flare has been burning for just a little over 12 minutes. Still got lots of heat in it, and looks like at least 3 more minutes of burn time, maybe a little bit more. Just a note of caution, you don't want to stare at that flame, not for more than a second or two. It's just about as bad, I think, as looking at a welder's torch. You'll have a temporary blind spot or two in your vision if you stare at that thing for very long. Alright, now I'm down to about 15 minutes, just at the end of 15 minutes now that it's been burning. This is the point at which the wet wood finally took a flame on that night when we just about didn't make it. So the full 15 minutes was required to get that fire started. Only have maybe 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 at the most left in this. It was a close call, but thank goodness I had that flare. Alright, it's been running for 18 minutes. It's just about to fizzle out. There it went. 18 minutes and a couple of seconds. Worth every ounce that thing weighs if you get into a really bad situation where fire is a matter between life and death. Well, that about does it for this trip. I'm going to put out the fire, put down the door, seal up the shelter for the winter, and snowshoe back on out to the truck. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the outdoors and be safe out there. Well, say goodbye to the shelter for another year. Hopefully it'll still be here next winter. We'll come back in and check it. Until then, so long.